we have to talk about it because it is one of the best scenes in this movie, especially if you are a Joe and Friedrich shipper, the opera scene.
You know, one of my friends said this. This was a couple of years ago, and I had just started this podcast. She was like, Gabriel Byrne is an excellent Friedrich Bear because he's handsome but not handsome. And I was like, there never was a time in my life when I did not think that Gabriel Byrne was not handsome. One of the reasons why I watched this film nonstop in my teens was because I was obsessed with Gabriel Byrne. I have seen pretty much every movie and TV show he has been in.
I think we all have had those moments.
I don't think I have ever got over this. I will tell you a secret. I found the email of Winona Ryder's agent, and I sent them an email. I said that I have a podcast about Little Woman. Would she like to be a guest someday? And I sent the email to some of the actors. If they are anything like illustration agents, they might reply me within 2 years or never, which is very depressing. But if I sent that email to Gabriel Byrne's agents, I will not be able to go through an interview with him because I will faint. And it is the end of me.
That is so sweet. It is like you want to, but you can't.
You know the opera scene? Again, this was the early days of this podcast. I heard some people complaining that the opera scene should not be in this movie, or John and Meg making out, because it is not proper for the 19th century. But I don't really agree with that, because there are all these sexy making out scenes in the book. Those were already in the original material.
When you think about other stories like Bridgerton, which is like sexy in the lore, how is that okay? But this isn't. They weren't crazy with the making out. The next scene, we don't see them actually doing it. Now, it was very steamy on its own, and that was enough for us. So we have a nice build-up in the scene, what the opera is, and Friedrich explaining it, seeing Joe getting really into the moment. I love this bit, too, because, again, it is one of those things, because, of course, it would happen to them. They are getting ready to kiss, and then some prop shakes and makes noise, and that interrupts them, and then, of course, they get right back into the kiss. It is one of those funny little Joe and Friedrich moments that definitely happens. Of course, they would get interrupted by stuff like that.
It is very romantic when he translates what happens in the opera. He's telling her that this singer in the opera is trying to reveal their feelings to the loved one, and he's trying to do the same with Joe. And he does that in a very subtle way. She's already attracted to him. In the scene when they first meet, after they meet on the street, she goes to his apartment and they talk about transcendentalism, philosophy and books. It is not something that she can speak with Laurie or anyone else.
There's a real sense that this is the first time when she is really able to properly talk about something like that with another person. Someone pointed out a really interesting comparison. At some point earlier in the movie, when Laurie is getting ready to go to college, he is leaving all his books behind. I don't need all this stuff, but then you have Friedrich who says, when I was moving to America, I got rid of everything except my books. I cannot part from my books. They were like, that just shows why Joe is attracted to Friedrich. She is the one who tries to push Laurie to take all these books. She says, you are going to need them. And Laurie's like, no, I'm not going to need them. But Friedrich is like, I cannot do without my books. And she is like, I agree. That is one of those nuanced things that show a nice comparison between how Laurie and Friedrich do things, as well as their proposals. Someone did a gift set of when Laurie proposes with a close-up on her face where she is scared, but with Friedrich, when he is proposing and he has his hand on her face, she looks happy. There's a lot more visual quests in this film that I think I have realized. Good on Gillian Anderson for doing this.
Another moment that I do like is when they speak about transcendentalism. There are some moments when he speaks about leaving Germany and that the Germany he knew was gone. Hello, friends. It is Niina from the Little Woman podcast. Just to let you all know that The Little Woman podcast episode transcripts are now available as books. You can find them as paperbacks and ebooks. They are wonderful reading for all the fans of Louisa May Alcott. You can find all the links from the description. And now, back to the show. And I remember during the time when Little Woman was written, there was wars going on in Germany. That is why there was a flux of German immigrants coming to America. That was a nice historical bit there. Even though it doesn't go that deep into his background, it is still there, and I do like that.
I think that shows who he is. As much as I love my country, Germany, I will not be participating in this violent manner, which is why I always get annoyed when people go very stereotypical. No, Friedrich was never on the negative side. I have high stakes because I literally had grandparents escaping Germany. They wanted to have a better life for themselves.
In Little Man, the sequel, there are these moments when he could use violence, but he refuses. He gets angry when the students are fighting. Friedrich most definitely is a pacifist. I can't understand not wanting to live in an environment where there is a threat of war and a wish to have a better, more peaceful life.
Even if it is not exactly as in the book, I think the film has a good overall feeling of what the story is and its characters. Even with Joe and Friedrich having that argument before they leave, it still wasn't quite like an argument. Even though Joe says we didn't part well, I think definitely this ranks high for me. I will probably put it somewhere like number 2 or 1. How would you rank it?
It is number 1 for me.
All right.
That was our discussion today. Christina and I continue our chat next time. Thank you so much for listening. Take care and make good choices. Bye.